Good. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. 1 p.m. Thursday. I'm excited. We have a repeating guest today on the show. A good friend of mine. I admire him. We have a really close business partnership. He's the backbone of a lot of our autopilot clients. So we have Barry here, Paul here, Ashley here. You probably know that guy pretty well. Um, and he's like I always want to talk to Brandon. It's always like here's the next idea. How can we automate a process? And this is what I really very much love. So I'm super happy to have him on the show. Brandon Parker, how are you today, my friend?
Good. Thanks for having me back, Robin. And just enjoying AI and Claude Cowork and all the fun things going on in land right now.
I mean, we'll dive into land automations, right? But I know you're like me. You're living, breathing, and taking this whole AI thing really to the heart and implementing that a lot for yourself and your customers into your business. What the heck is going on the last 3 months? When I look back on the last 3 months, we do things today that were like 6 months ago, not even thinkable about. What's your take on how's the whole AI space in generally evolving right now? What does that mean for us?
More automations. Everything can be automated faster. I would say that the shift in AI that we had in the last 3 months was as big as the shift of going from no chat GPT and to chat GPT spawning. I mean, I think there was a sea change in how useful AI is. It's so impactful that we took our entire team, our entire middle management and upper management, about 20 people, and we had a couple training days. I even went out to visit the team and we put everyone onto Claude Cowork, and it just became a mandatory part of their job. Just you have to use this in your work every day. And we're checking in and making sure they are, and just it's making everyone more effective, be able to work faster.
Yeah, I think that's mandatory. Actually, we're implementing that here right now, company wide too. I think you know what it when you look at certain parts of that, I feel like we lost what we were used to do the past couple of years was like here's the software we're using, here's another software we're using. We build an automation to connect A to Z. What we're
Mhm.
capable of doing right now is I have a case, maybe I have some data. Let me just build the software on the back end that looks like exactly that what I want to have and
Mhm.
in there. I think the speed how AI is evolving right now is like freaking incredible.
Yeah, I think it almost is going to eliminate SaaS. In the future, I feel like SaaS is going to be very personalized. So you're not going to
Yeah.
have a an app for, you're not going to have a weather app on your phone. You're just going to have a thing that you ask and it presents the weather exactly how you want it to be presented. Like there's no reason to have an app when you could just build them as fast as they can be built now, and you can just make it exactly for yourself. It doesn't have to be an app that everyone uses. It's just the app that you use. And uh, we're able to leverage that and do some exciting things. Like right now, we're building a lot of things with data, and so we're trying to look at all the different counties that we call over time and see where and track from the moment we pull the data, every point through calling it for our clients calling it, getting in touch with it, uh, and then which counties are performing, where we're sending uh, contracts, where we're getting the best contact rates, what the close rate is, how many contracts we're getting. And so we're trying to start collecting big data on county performance. And that's something it's still a really heavy technology lift. It takes a lot to do it, but now it's possible. Like now we have I mean, it was possible before, it just was juice wasn't worth the squeeze. Now we have someone working on that and building like a display dashboard that we can start giving real feedback on what's happening in different parts of the country. And so there's just things like that that used to be too technically difficult to attempt, and now they are possible. And so we're able to think a little bit bigger about land and the whole business.
I love it. Yeah, and I think, when you're really the amounts of data we can process today are just insane, right? Like, I'm just like we built in the past couple of weeks a complete project management system but actually we built the software in like a day, and now it's just like adding features to it, but it's a project management system. What happens when we have the deal, like the whole underwriting engine that starts, right? And like we had a couple of years back, I bought a database of every single realtor in the US. For people that are interested, it's 2.3 million realtors, and we're at this point, it's 2.1 million realtors left at this point, right? So we lost 200,000 realtors in the last like 2.5 or 3 years. And what we built at that point was a system that was getting into this database of every realtor in the country. And when we had a property, we had our realtor set, it was started advertising to all the other realtors. And that build out was a $50,000 build out. It took us like 3 months to get rolling. I just hacked that thing right now in our Claude code. I think it will be done next week. Right, like it's like the downtime that or the time of getting big data done is just like so low now that you need to think about that what that means because we are in the data business, right? Like we're in the data marketing and sales business. This is what it is. We move people from A to Z, and so we need to look at the data. What is the data telling us, right? And but sorry, I just like got distracted. Let's switch gears a little bit. What does it mean for us as line investors, Brandon? I mean, you were on the acquisition end, right? Like you were like for me, like one of the few people that really drive technology in our space. And so thank you for coming to our show today again, right? Um, what do you think, especially in the acquisitions game, that people are getting wrong right now, and where is it heading to? Like, what do you think are best practice and will be best practices in the future?
So I think that the layer that is hardest for people to deal with right now and where people have the most things that slip through the crack is the qualification and the follow-up layer. It's everything that happens after people capture a lead, where technology has a huge amount of leverage, where most people don't have that dialed in, and where some people do and they're performing better. And so what that looks like is, you capture a lead, and then how quick does that first call happen? That's kind of the easy part, but then everything after that call, when does the next follow-up happen? How does a contract go out? If they're interested in a follow up, like how efficiently is that hit? If they're not interested in a follow up, are they getting a short term nurture or long term nurture? And all of that. I think that that's where the hole in most people's system is right after that first call. And then everything from that until the lifespan of that lead. And people do everything from just call the hot ones and kind of deal with them as they come and forget about everything else. Or a lot of times they'll have a few different follow-ups, something fairly rudimentary. But I think that's where the biggest low-hanging fruit is to make teams more efficient with leads. Uh, because there's a lot of hidden value in leads that are interested in selling their land, but you get on the phone with them the first time and it's just not right now. But a lot of times those people turn into 3 months, 6 months from now if you have a solid professional follow-up nurture system, a way to get pinged and notified when they're ready, and that type of thing.
And I think there is so much like value in what you just said. Let me just make sure like that because it 100% matches like what I'm thinking about that, right? Everyone is dealing with hot leads and it's really important to do that, right? Don't get me wrong. Like we need to do that. But the second part of that is um once we did this initial intake or didn't do it, because some people just don't answer the phone maybe on our first call, even when we do that for 5 to 10 days. It's what we need is really to have a process in place that stays with them in touch for forever. Does that make sense? Like, I always say until they say F you, or they say like, or they die, right? This is like the thing. And then you probably want to get to the hairs, but like these are the two things where that should stop because everyone and every person has like every 6 months a life event happening where they maybe need something. And when we see how as land investors, how do we make money is we solve one of these three issues for our clients. One is price, like one is money, one is time, one is certainty, right? And when what we need to do is we need to be there with the client when he has one of these problems we could face. He needs to remember us, right? And I think through that what when I look at like when we built the first iteration of the land autopilot where we worked really close together, we had like one version where we work with you in land AI, but we had also one version where like I had the idea we plug into people's CRM systems and just do it there. And guess what happened? I looked in all the CRM systems, nobody had a nurture sequence.
Mhm.
Like nobody had like everyone like what it was like a fancy spreadsheet to organize contacts, right? So, and I think where we need to spend, and everyone is talking about return on ad spend and how many leads do I produce, but nobody is tracking how long is a lead in my system? When, in average, does a lead reach out? When do they come back, right? And when I looked back into my career, because every lead that inquires, you paid for that already. So why would you drop that? Does that make sense? Because it's so much harder to convert a cold person into like a contract than maybe somebody that has heard of you, that has seen you over a period of time, to convert those people in a contract, than the other way around, right? How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I could give some tactical insight exactly what we
Let's
do and
do it.
what we're working on. So just what our process looks like is on the front end, when we first capture a cold lead, I think that rapport is built with a few different uh, promises that are fulfilled just right in a row. It can be multiple touches that makes it and separate touches that make it feel that that's a way to build rapport. It's not just all getting on the phone and just making friends with someone. It's fulfilling promises. And so we do that by we have the cold call and then we do a warm transfer and it's a hey, this is Maya, you just talked to Alex, and so there's name to name warm transfer, so that's a second touch. After that call with Maya, which is basically a lead manager, there's a warm handoff at the end of that. Hey, Robin's going to give you a call from the land pilot. Does today or tomorrow work for you? Okay, hey, you're in great hands with Robin, he's an expert in this area. So that's a warm handoff with a little bit of hype. So that takes us to the third touch. And then right after that call ends, we send a text message. It says, hey, this is Robin. This is a number I'll be calling from, just so you know, if they have text. And then we send an email. And the email has a video would have a video from you, Robin, or the owner. And it's like, hey, how's it going? This is Robin. Just want to let you know I'm the person you'll be talking to. So they get a video, then a property report, information about their land in their email, and all of those touches um, build rapport. So it's not just like one long, strong conversation. It's just a bunch of steps of things happening from multiple angles that make it feel like, okay, this person's legit and they have a nice program. It's the same thing when I mean, even your thing you set up today, like there's some sort of level of professionalism that you can tell when a live stream's happening and then you saw it pop up the week before and that was a touch. And then like, the day before, hey, you got a reminder and you kind of scanned it in your email and then something hits your phone and it's just like, okay, whatever this is, there's something they're doing it correctly because I'm getting reminders and it's subtle, but those points of contact build on each other. I think that's really important in land too. And it increases the chance that someone's going to get on the phone with you for that second call or for that acquisitions call. And so that all those things are just small things that can happen before you even get on the acquisitions call. And then the same thing after the call's over, a quick follow up. Hey, nice to talk to you. We'll talk again this day. And then actually hitting that meeting, having it set in your CRM calendar or your whatever, so that you call them exactly that time. Maybe send them a reminder. Hey, I'm going to call you in 10 minutes. Another tactic around that is if they're a cell phone, yeah, you've had a first call with them, then an hour before or the day before your next call with them, sending them a quick selfie video. Hey, this is Robin. Excited about our call today. I just was thinking this about your property. I looked into that slope and I'm looking forward to talking to you about it tomorrow. Just like something that shows that will that increases the chance of them getting on the call again. But as many of those little professional micro touches in between is a big um, help with closing sales. And then on the back end, if they're not ready now, they hit a nurture sequence where they get contacted, text, email after a month. What we do is after 1 month, and then we space it out, and it's after 2 months. And then we space it out, it's after 3 months. And then every 4 months after that is just an email and a text, just a re engagement, see if they re engage. So that's what our system looks like from front to end.
And I love that. And I think you said like so many good things in there, right? Because in the end, it's there's two ways how you can do things in our business to get in touch with people and to stay in touch with them. The one is I call that brute force, right? You just pound the phone like as much as you can and double dial, triple dial, quadruple dial, whatever that means. And like you will get through to people. That's the one thing, but not all of us are built for that. I'm not built for that. I will never do a triple dial. I will get so pissed off at that person on the other hand, on the other side, right? Like, I would just like block them and gone, right? But the second thing is I think how you can build this trust. And one distinction I have when you were talking is always have in mind what you're competing with. We're talking of 28 to 30 million land properties in the US that are roughly owned by 18 to 19 million individuals. So now take the 40% of properties or 50% of properties out of there that have too much slope, that are just like in the middle of nowhere, that are landlocked, that are swamps, that are whatever. So that means maybe we're dealing as land investors with 15 to 18 million or 20 million land parcels that are owned by 12, 13 million people. So how many land investors are out there? I don't know. Could be a couple of 10,000 probably that are somehow doing this or not doing this. But now that's like, let's say it's 50,000 people are competing to get attention from this 12 million owners. So that means when you break that down, and probably from this 12 million, there's like 40% where everyone is, and the 60% are roughly there. So that means you have a lot of competition. And now you can do two things. You can go brute force or you can go with quality, right? And with really a process, like process is the right word, um, to make them feel special. And that what they need to feel is that you are special to grab their attention in the first place. And these are all the little things. This is what I love working with you. Like the one text message, like in the autopilot program, like one of the things, like we have a guarantee, we guarantee like our autopilot clients, like certain amounts of money they make, because I know when they call them 15 minutes after Maya called them and say something like, I'm here, the principal in the company, and that property looks so special. I wanted to give you a call personally, right? If you're the acquisition manager. Um, then suddenly this individual has heard from your company in the last half hour like six, seven, 8 times, and they didn't have experienced that before. Does that make sense? And this like while I love working with Brandon because he thinks about these little things all the time that you have all these touch points, and will they all be seen? No. Will some of them be seen? Yes. But it's the overall story you tell about your company on a really subtle way. Um, this is how we are reliable because we care for you. Does that make sense? And that sets you really up. Sorry, I talked a lot. I'm really like a Maya and a Land AI CRM fan and like a Land AI fan, right? So you probably hear that out. But this is what really makes the difference is that because now we have the initial contact, but then what happens after that? Staying in touch with them. All of that is nailed out and nobody has that. Like, how do we nurture contact for 12 months? How are we there when something changes in their life? And that's just like they need to remember you. You know what? I had Brendan and he sent me a text message the other day, Oh, he sent me an email last month. Let me reach out to him first because I have probably something how he can solve my problem.
Yeah, and the interesting part that I glossed over there is the lead the lead magnet or the property report that we send to them, because that whole idea of how are we there 4 months from now, 6 months from now, 8 months from now. One is we've done these multiple touches, but the property report that we send into their email sits there forever. And what the property report has is it has the video from you. It also has a report about their property. It's a PDF and it says it's pictures of their property. It's like, here's your road frontage, here's your exact acreage, your flood zone, your APN number, your slope report, and then a little paragraph kind of describing interesting things about their property. So that report sits in their inbox, and it's something in the future when they think of selling their property, it's likely that'll ping in their head. They'll go search that and look for that report because it has all the information they need on it. And then there's your video right there and your website in that same email. And so I don't have data on how that, what the return rates look on that, like yet. That's something I hope to measure at some point. But um, I think that that is that's similar to someone having a letter on their desk. You know, you've sent a blind offer and they've kept it in their desk drawer for 2 years. And they're finally like, you know what? I'm going to sell my property. Where was that offer? They go look and they call. You know, it's that type of thing. So, um,
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of truth in that because when you, I mean, like we talked about earlier, we're in the business in the data business, right? So it's like we started this cold list and now we narrow it down to a warm list from people that wanted to work with us in the first place, right? And I think what you're describing is like, um, how do we keep in their mind over a long time? Like digital, this I probably, like you probably think I'm crazy, but like I made roughly 6.5, 7,000 offers in my life. We send once a year a mailer to everyone on that list with exactly the same offer we made 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's exactly the same letter. Like I don't put a lot of work into that. It's just like we go in the system, click print, send it to the mailing house, send it. And send then after that a ringless voicemail, like 30 days later. That's it. That's everything we do. Like compared with the combined with, of course, the text message follow up and email follow up and all that. But that one letter is like we normally get like between 5 and 40 contracts each year from that list,
wow.
right? So when you think about that, like sending 7,000 letters costs you what, $4,500 probably. So that's the first contract we get, then, and we probably already made some profit on that. And then there is like every other contract is just pure profit, and they're sitting right in front of you. Right. So, and I think what you need to think about in your business, and I love and you have that really nailed on the digital side of things, right? Is that you really need to think like, how can you stay in somebody's mind? And I love how you explain that with the property report and the website and the video, because that's one of these things, right? Like, hey, I have all these emails in my inbox when I think, fuck, I'm going to sell my property. There was this guy, he sent me this report. Like, let me pull property report, land property, or whatever. So you go in your Gmail and find it there. There's so much sense behind that. Um, Let's talk a little bit about numbers, because I know your numbers are insane, right? Like I had a conversation the other day, right, with somebody that had a conversation with you, and when he comes back to you, maybe you can invite me for dinner the next time because we were talking about land AI, and like when he was telling me, I couldn't make the cost per lead work, and I like, what does it even mean for you, cost per lead? Yeah, normally I get 100 leads and da, 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 da. And here it's like I get 20 leads. Okay, for the same price. And I said, okay, how many contracts do you close from 100 leads? Right? And he said, oh yeah, 1 to 3 normally. Like, but what is even a lead for you? Oh, that's somebody that's that call me. Right? Okay, great. So how much do you close? 1 to 3. Okay. And then I ask him, okay, so what makes more sense to you? Because I know your internal numbers. Would you rather talk to 100 people or to 20 people and close like 15, 20% of them maybe? And I guess this the strong suit of Maya of Maya and Land AI. Walk us a little bit. How do close rates, pre-qualification, how does that whole process look like that people get a feeling how valuable that is? Because the second thing is when you have 100 leads, you need to talk to 100 people. How many hours each week is that? You need to go 100 times through the same conversations, and probably 80% of these people are tire kickers anyway, right? Like, walk us a little bit through that idea that how Land AI supports people there, and some
Yeah,
actual
and I
numbers. I
have
want to hear them.
yeah, and I have some our first quarter data of those rates also, so I'll give that at the end, but I'll tell the what the process looks like and the philosophy behind it first. So if we what we do is we cold call outbound with cold callers. When someone says, "Yeah, I might be interested in selling my land," then we live transfer to our conversational AI, which is Maya. And then Maya has a professional sales conversation with them. She's not trying to get them to sell their property. Her goal is to draw information out of them about their property. So she draws out their motivation, a price they might want, and the timeline they want to sell on. After that call, we look at the transcript and we pre-qualify the leads. So if they have some sort of motivation, some sort of reasonable price or a timeline, then they're pre-qualified. And we send just those pre-qualified leads to our teams so their acquisitions managers can call them. So if we capture 100 raw leads, we call them, someone who said they want to sell, about 20 of those turn into pre-qualified leads. That means someone that's worth talking to. Those 20 leads go directly to acquisitions managers. The other 80 leads go directly into our client's CRM, where we just nurture them over time. The overall conversion rates, generally out of those 20 leads, it's people close one deal. 20 to 30 leads, people close one deal, pre-qualified leads. So that's what those numbers look like. Basically, one lead, if we capture 100 raw leads, then usually one contract comes out of it. Now, looking at cold calling in general, I ran a call center and we did over 10 million calls, just straight call center for clients. And our overall conversion rate at the call center, just sending raw leads, was 1%. So it was one lead in 100 would convert. So what's interesting is when I look at what we're doing now, which is that whole system, and what we were doing with just the call center, the conversion rate's the same. It's still about 1%. The difference is our clients only need to talk to 20 to 30 leads. And so they're saving 80% of the work. And so when I talk to people about it, the hard part for people to get over is they like to be able to work all 100 leads to some extent. They don't they don't really want to, but they like the idea of seeing all 100 leads, and they like the idea of sorting through those. And but I don't think that they realize how much time it actually draws. They either need to do that themselves, or they usually end up hiring an a lead manager who goes through and sorts those leads and passes them on. And the lead manager feels kind of effective, but then training a lead manager properly and then managing them properly, that becomes a time drain. That's a job in itself. And so there's a lot of hidden operational costs that go into sorting through garbage leads. That's the nature of the beast with land. And that's the hidden cost that so many people overlook. It's like another one that I see often is, and it works, all this stuff works. So like text messaging, like people have great success in text. What they overlook is the entire operation is filtering through garbage leads. That's the whole business. Like it's easy to go capture 100 raw leads, but turning those 100 raw leads and filtering them down to the ones that you actually want to get on the phone with, that's the business. That's the art form. That's where like all the time that's goes. And on the acquisition side, and that's the part that matters the most. And so, uh, I see people overlook that filtering process, just like it's almost like it's not even part of the business. They just jump from one to the other. They're like, oh, I got 100 leads. Oh, I got this many deals. But don't, it's hard to conceptualize unless you really dig into it, how much time it actually takes in between 100 leads filtering down and getting a contract. And that's the hidden cost that people overlook. And that's the reason I ended up attacking that problem specifically is because when I ran the call center and we were just sending raw leads to people, it hit our bottom line. We had a high churn rate because people would come back after 2 or 3 months and they would say, hey, you gave me 100 leads a month. It's great. But now I have 300 leads and I have to pause and figure out how to sort through these. And so I was like, oh, okay, this isn't a lead getting problem. This is a lead sorting problem.
And I guess that's what it is, right? It, like I'm in this for a long, long time, and when you think about that, I don't know how many millions of records we processed in this time. In the very end, what we do is we have a funnel, right? And that looks like this. So
Mhm.
you know what I mean, right? So you have a bunch of data there, and now we just like check this data. We do call calls or texting, and and by the way, this is what you handle too, right? When people are sending direct mail campaigns or when they're sending text message campaigns, Maya can handle the inbound from there too, right?
Mhm.
So it's like we do this massive outreach top of the funnel. Then we have the people dropping in. And then first of all, like I think that's one of the greatest weaknesses I when I would look at the industry is because when you really want to handle 100 leads, which is easily accessible through text messages, calling, like you get easily 100 leads, like, but filtering through them, this is what really is the work, right? I had an interesting discussion like 2 or 3 days ago with somebody. And we're talking about blind offers and acquisition strategies and all that. And he asked me, what do you think is that what works? I said, like, I think everything works
Yeah.
because everything is working. Like you asked, like 50 people in a room, how do you do acquisitions? One will tell you text message, the next one will say cold calling, the next one says blind offers, the next one says like I sent Easter bunnies or whatever, right? Like no matter what you do, it works as long as you do it enough. I think it's a question, where do you want to make the work? Right? Because when you send a text message, like always think about the other side. You have really high response rates normally, right? Like I've seen a campaign the other day. There was a 28% response rate on the text message campaign. So, but now what does it mean? How many text messages did each of you guys answer today? Like, I don't know. Like, I had already like a couple of dozens, right? I forgot about like 90% of them because it's just out of my mind. So the commitment level on text message is really low, but the conversion rate to, hey, yeah, make me an offer is really, really high. And now you need to filter and sort through all of them. And like when you have like sent to a list of like 1,000 people, and let's say average on text message what is 15%, then you now need to sort through 150 people. What is that when you run a one-person operation? How do you want to sort through 150 people, right? How should that even go? On call calling, the same thing. The response rates are like really great, right? Like I don't know where is this, but what I see is anywhere between 10-15% often, right? And so like now you need to sort through them, right? You will have less on direct mail, but the thing is, you will have less people to talk to get to a contract in the end because the commitment to open a letter, have it sitting on the kitchen sink, or put it on the fridge and say, "Oh, I'm gonna call him." Like, but when they do that, they actively called you from something you send. Like the level of commitment on that is higher, right? But you will talk to less people. And the fourth thing is when you send a blind offer. You send somebody a physical piece of mail with a price on it. When that person reaches out, that's the highest level of commitment. But when you do blind offers, you spend a lot of time on data. It's like you do all this filtering work up front because you need to figure out like what are these properties worth, right? But what you skip is the process of discovery. And I also think Paul, he's on the call, right? He's exceptional at converting anyone into a contract. He's like a Eskimo refrigerator kind of guy, right? Like you lose that opportunity on blind offers when you don't play, right? But like what I want to say is like, where do I want to do the work? When I would run a one-person operation, I would do blind offers because it works in my speed and I don't need to talk to a lot of people, right? But I need to be patient because when I send out 3,000, 5,000 letters, I probably will not get anything back in the next 4 to 8 weeks. And then I say it doesn't work. Does that make sense? Like happened to one of my blind offer campaigns, we didn't hear anything for like 6 weeks. And I was like, dude, like that was like $5,000 in the dump. And then we got like 12 contracts. Like four of them, they didn't even call. They just sent us like the signed offer. I think we did three of those deals. One was just shitty, but but when you do call calling, you need to figure that. And like the great thing about call calling and texting is you're in a two-way conversation from day one. It's not a one-way conversation, right? Like you can steer and trigger that. And what I think is the beauty um, of having like a system available like Maya that takes the initial take-in of these two-way conversations to filter for you, probably more reliable than any human could do it to filter the good ones from the bad ones, right? That just like speeds up your process. It saves you what? I don't know, when you get 100 leads and you filter out 80, let's call it like 10 minutes, let's say 15 minutes per conversation. That's 1,200 minutes, right? Like that's 20 hours of your time just to having that available. Does that make sense? And sorry, I talked a lot again, but like I'm really excited about this because like I feel this is where technology really supports you. So let's talk a little bit about this one thing. When that is so great, why is not everybody building Maya right now? Why does not everybody build like a conversational agent right now?
The technical handoff is hard. Actually, I think that the current moat to building what we built is running a call center with the human operation. Um, so being professional with being able to reach out to people and get them on the phone and then make that live transfer to a conversational AI. And then what we do with Maya is we have live connection to the property records. So Maya can see the address and all the information about the property, knows the person's name, and has all that pulling live from a cloud database. So she can have the conversation. So it's just someone could technically do it. It's just a bit of a lift. It's running a different business that's not running the land business. It's running a technology operations business, and that is for the right people, they could do it. But a good analogy would be a CRM. This is something I see all the time. It's like, oh, I've like a CRM's like a Maserati or something. Like it's got all this power, it can do a million things, but you need to know how to drive it, or else it's just the same as any other car. And maybe an airplane's a better example. Like it can do a lot of stuff, but you need to, there's a lot of time and learning that goes into making it actually work. So you see a lot of people with really fancy CRMs, but then they just have, a few stages and two automations or something set up. So same thing with this. It's just takes a massive amount of time to get all the technology set up.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of time, money, and trial and error, right? Like this, this is what
Yeah.
what it is too. I agree on that.
And
Brendan,
something
as
else
well,
that to add
go
in there,
ahead.
Robin, is that I'm really excited about is we've captured thousands of land conversations, and all of that is big data. And so we're working on recursive learning where we can learn lessons from how these conversations go and improve over time. And so that's something that a big difference between, just having an AI that's plugged in as an answering service and what we have with Maya is that our recursive learning based on thousands of land conversations, like it is a land acquisitions manager AI. It's not just an AI that's doing, winging it. And so that all that context starts to really set it apart over time. So
I love that. That's really, really cool. Bren, I always ask that everyone that comes to this call that's out of the land space, where do you see the land industry heading in the next like 2, 3 years?
right now, land is the margins have compressed. So it got more people in the business doing deals, more text messages, mail, cold calls going out across the board. So 3, 5 years ago, you'd send out a blast and you'd get responses and close deals. Uh, that low level or that low hanging fruit, I think, is largely being competed away or has been competed away at this point. So now I think that the people who are starting to separate themselves have really solid operations. They fall in between a so when I look at it from the land seller's point of view, I think the people they want to sell to are in the middle. So it's not BlackRock, it's not some giant corporation that's calling them like, "Hey, we want to buy all the land in your state." Like, people feel that big uh, feel, and they're looking out for that. And the other thing is, they've already had contact from a lot of small land operators, and so they want someone who's professional. So someone who makes all these follow-up touches, who calls back when they say, who sounds clear on the phone. They want confidence that if they sell their land for $100,000, that the money is absolutely going to land in their bank account, and that's not something they're questioning. And so, because we've burned a lot of rapport, because we have so many people out there reaching out, and not all of it's the highest quality. And so, the people who land in between there, like, "Hey, I'm a local land business owner, but I'm also very professional," is where people are winning. And that comes to all those every touch that you do that builds rapport, and then having a website and maybe getting them a lead magnet, getting them a text, getting them a video view, anything you can do to make it feel professional. So that means that the people who are just kind of winging it, it's getting harder to do deals. I see them likely slowly getting competed out of the market, and the people who are more professional probably taking more of the market share over time. And then over 2 to 3 years, I would guess that same trend continues, that the market continues to consolidate. That seems natural to me because of how much leverage we're gaining with technology. And so I think that it's going to continue to compress and get more competitive, and that eventually there just be less people. It'll be harder to break into the market.
I think so too. Because what it is, a couple of years back, as an unprofessional operator, you could just like blast a couple of hundred text messages, make a deal, make $10,000. And then you had really great operators that had process and a system in place that was relying on a lot of people, if that makes sense, right? Like, we were over 40 people at the top of this in this company. And I think that the great operators out there, they can just do more through technology. So they take their improved processes that are top notch and just do more of it because technology supports now to do it for them. And that will make it
And
harder to enter the space.
all that being said, like a little bit harder to enter the space, but I don't think like some sort of barrier to entry. I think that with any business, if someone comes in and they run it good, better than 80% of other
Yeah.
people, there's plenty of room. So it's not like a doom, like, "Hey, get in now," or, like it's just, you just have to there's going to be a higher standard, but there's always room for people who are performing better than 80% of other people. And I think
Yeah,
that will continue
this is
also.
what I think. Yeah, sorry, maybe that came over in my German English a little bit bad here, but like what it is the business has matured and you need to run a mature
Hmm.
operation. And the more matured businesses will just make will do more business that really run it like a business, right? Like this is what I see. Was there ever anything we didn't cover in that we didn't cover in this?
Yeah, let me pull a couple. I did my state of land investing. I've only talked to some of my clients about this, but I'll go ahead and talk about it on here. But we pulled all of our data from the first quarter. Let me just pull a
Mhm.
couple interesting numbers out of here. This is
Good.
one that may not be applicable, but it's just interesting for people to understand some of the things that go if because people do hire their own cold callers. The cold calling needs human infrastructure, and our cold caller, our 90-day retention rate is 53%. The people who last past 90 days, we've had people who've been calling with us over 2 years now. So we have like a lot of really long term. When they get into the team, they get integrated, they're there. But hiring, training a cold caller, half the time they end up leaving. And we're good at onboarding. We've pressed on letting them know it's going to be how the job is going to be, setting expectations. And we have, driven that retention rate up. But for people hiring cold callers, there's a huge hidden cost. If you're going to go hire people off Upwork or wherever, there's a huge hidden cost in training them and they're going to leave. Half of them are going to leave within 90 days. So bake that into your ops, hire two or three, run them all at the same time, let one leave, and then let the other two compete, and then, keep the one that's going to work and fire the other. Like you take that into account if you're hiring your own cold callers. Um, the other thing that uh, we have is our pre-qualified lead conversion rates. So what that means is we have the raw total leads. If we bring in 100 total leads, how many of those turn into pre-qualified? It was average 21.5%. So about that 20% that I talk about, we overperformed that a little bit, but 21% were actually pre-qualified. What's interesting to me about that number is it lines up with Pareto's principle. So it just feels right to me. I use and look for 80/20 like all over the place in business and in decision making and things like that. And so this big data landing at nearly Pareto's principle, it feels like that's a nice checkpoint to hit. Um, that's a number that people can use as a ballpark for themselves if they're doing cold calling. Is that, about 20% are going to be, doesn't mean they're going to be a full on sales conversation, just means about 20% are going to be worth talking to, at least worth getting eyes on, but 80% are going to be tire kickers. Um, the our clients, uh, our overall close rate. So out of raw leads, if we capture 100 raw leads, our overall close rate was 0.9%. So right at that 1% that is our benchmark that we usually see with cold calling. We were right at that, which checks out. Our top 10% of clients, their close rate was 1.7%. So the factors that go into basically someone doubling the amount of contracts they get, uh, from what I've seen, is the counties where they're targeting markets, and then how they are on the phone. Those are the two main levers to pull to go from a 1% close rate to a 1.7% close rate. Now, why that's important is our system, what I look at it as controlled data and conversations over time up until the point it hits our client. Like everything we do is the same exact system. And so it's very measurable across clients. Like we are going to pull data the same way. We're going to make the same cold call. Maya's going to have the same conversation thousands of times. We're getting the same data. We're pre-qualifying the same type of leads. We're sending the same summaries. They're landing at our clients. And some of our clients have a 0.9% and some have a 1.7%. So it's on the very front end of the process, like which counties are they choosing becomes very important. And then when they get on the phone, how good are they on the phone? And I think that uh, sales skills and getting on the phone is very easy to overlook. The reason it's easy to overlook sales skills is because a land it's not a hard sell. It's not like selling a car. You're not going to talk someone into selling their land. So people look at it like, okay, well, this isn't a sale, so I'm just going to talk to this person and see if they want to sell. And they just completely wing it because they've let themselves think that it's not a sales call. Uh, I take the approach that it's still a sales call. It's just you're just adding value, but you can still do that in a way that you're walking someone down the road. And I pick the mental model that I use for this is that a lot of people do actually want to sell their land. They've had it for 20 years. They always thought they were going to do something with it. They never did. And what's really happening there is they have locked up capital and they have decision paralysis. I know because I've seen it in my own family. We've had my family's had a piece of property for 30 years. The whole family's been like, oh, we should build this, we should build this, but we never did and never will, to be honest. Uh, they they're they have it and it's in their best interest to actually sell it, and they actually do want to sell it. They just need someone to take them through the steps of action of making that decision and feeling good about it. And so being able to do that is a sales process. It's not just a get on the phone and see what happens. It is I know that it would be better for you if you sell it, and let me walk you through the steps so you feel good about actually doing this transaction. And that does take skill. It's just not salesy. It's a consulting sale. So uh, that would be the data that we have from quarter 1 and what I've pulled out of it. So
I love it. There was so much just in that. And I think, like sales is like not like it depends. Like there's like people that are natural salespeople and there's not like, but I think everyone can learn sales when you have a good process in place. Everyone can do it, right? And you just need to have a system in place. And this is why anyone in my personal world can do that, if that makes sense. So, no, beautifully. Brendan, thank you so much for chiming in. People can find you where?
landai.ai. And then I'm on YouTube at Brandon Parker, on Twitter at Brandon Parker _O.
I like
Website
the
though is
underscore
land,
O.
yeah, _O. I did it when ChatGPT first came out. Remember ChatGPT O? Like it was their first launch was a basically beta 0. And so anyway, I was looking
I
for a
love
Twitter
it.
name and I was like, oh, I'll be like ChatGPT. And
Yeah, that's cool. You
yeah.
are like ChatGPT, right? Good. Guys, we're almost like on top of the hour. Let's open up for the last 5 minutes for Q&A. So while Brandon is here, just get him out of there. There was like a couple of questions in the chat, I think. Um, Hey guys,
Yeah,
so Ashley says thank you for letting us know that you're sending out emails in the long-term metro. It just came to my attention that when Maya gets the email address, do we then need to add it to their profile as the primary email so they are able to get the emails every time if it wasn't on file to begin with?
yeah, so we do that. So what we do is if we get the email address, then it goes into the data file and Maya can see it. Maya at the end of the call will ask, hey, what's your email address? So we can send the property report, and then she'll get it and she'll put it onto the record. Then we'll send the property report to that record. So that's all just gets done on the back end with automation. And
And by
then,
the way, that's a smart question, right? When people don't want to give you their email address, right? That's a
sales.
that's a really great thing, if that makes sense.
The amount of things that we have tweaked and improved with how Maya says things and how she approaches things is a lot of things, a lot of little details like that. But if you caught that, when you say, what's your email address? If you give a reason for something, anything, people are much more likely to comply. It doesn't even matter what the reason is. You just say, hey, can I cut in front of you? Because I'm in a hurry. It's like, okay, they'll probably let you cut in front of them because you just said it's not even a reason. Yeah, we're all in a hurry, but like, so anyway, that's the theory behind that, and it
Yeah, I
helps.
always say that, like, like one of the most ridiculous things I see happening is people tell me they get a verbal yes.
Hmm.
Somebody said, yes, I'm going to sign the contract. And then you asked, did you set the contract?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, like when you're closing a deal, you don't want to let them go without signing a contract, right? And, like just framing the question, like you prepare it on the phone, send it out and say, hey, I just sent you the contract. Can you open your email? And I want to make sure that I wrote your name, that I spelled your name right. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then suddenly we're in a contract situation. That's all the little tweaks. And I love that. So, good
Yeah. Yeah.
question
So I
from
could go
Ash.
through it with you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, question here from Ash, from Crystal was, can you use this system in other CRM systems?
Yeah. So we have a CRM expert and we just zap leads to different places. Generally we encourage people to use our CRM because we do so much of it for you. We send so many automations, we do so many follow-ups, and we measure KPIs for you and all kinds of things. So some people have really sophisticated operations, and in that case, we zap it to their sophisticated CRM. Most people end up using ours. So, um, and then looks like Crystal says, Robin, with autopilot, are you using Brandon's system?
Wait, let me see that here. What was the question? Oh, we see Audible. Yeah, we are working with Brandon there because I test a lot, I see a lot, and like it's just like fully done for you. Here's a couple of things too. Like I wanted to highlight here. They an average setup system right now, we track that in 8 business days. That means they build your CRM system with A2P verification, like an average on 8 days. Sometimes it's three. I've seen 3 days too, right? Um, the second thing is you have like a Slack channel where you can talk to their team anytime, if that makes sense, right? So it's like you have technical issues, you need anything, you can just like work with them, if that makes sense, right? Like there's somebody there, like Brennan has an enormous. He showed me once how he sets up SOPs, and I'm like, yeah, I can learn
Hmm.
from that. Right. So it's like a really, really trainable team. So the organization is functioning. And third of all, like there is not that because they have like so much clients, done so much calls. In the end, every AI model lives on the amount of data it was trained on. And I think there is not, I haven't met anyone that has had as much training on that model as they have as of today. And that were all the reasons I'm working with them. And for us, it's like really, really great working with Brandon and his team because we speak the same love language about leads, right? That we want to nurture them, and so it's a backbone of the autopilot system for a reason. Yeah, great question, Crystal. We need to have you on board there, huh? That's like what we need to work on. Great, cool. Guys, it's 2 p.m. almost. Do we have any more questions for Brandon?
Well, good to see the faces in here. Paul, good to see you. Barry, good to see you again. Crystal, Vlad, Musaf, thanks for getting stuff set up today.
Love it. Guys, see everyone next week. I don't know who's coming next week, but um, whoever wants to join Autopilot after this discussion, set up a call with us, right? Set up a call with Jessica. Let's get it rolling because like we take the power of Blind AI, we help you setting up not only call calling, we combine with text messaging, with direct mail. We give you the whole disposition process, the deal funding. We run all the comms for you. If you want to know how a fully managed line business looks like, then you want to get into that. So, yeah, schedule a call with us. And with that said, guys, thank you so much, Brandon, for coming over, for spending some time with us. And yeah, everyone else, see you next week. And whoever wants to come to the comms call, 3 p.m. CST today with Holly. If you want to be there, she has like some amazing deals to look on. And if you have a deal that you want to get comped, um, just bring it there, get some live feedback. And yeah, I wish everyone a great day. And guys, talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.